I moved to New York in late October, when the air turns sharp and the city feels like it's holding its breath before winter. The rent was impossibly cheap for a one-bedroom in Brooklyn, the kind of cheap you don't ask too many questions about. I had just gotten a remote marketing job, my first real break after years of freelancing and sleeping on friends' couches. I told myself this was a fresh start. New city, new routine, new life. The building stood between a laundromat that never closed and a narrow deli with flickering fluorescent lights. It was brick, darkened by decades of soot and rain. The fire escapes clung to the exterior like rusted skeletons. Inside, the hallway smelled faintly of old carpet and something metallic, like damp pipes. The landlord, a tired-looking man in his 50s named Mr. Kessler, handed me the keys without much small talk. "Top floor's empty," he said casually while we stood near the mailboxes. "Been that way a while. So it's quiet." I liked the sound of that. Quiet in New York felt like a miracle. My apartment was on the 3rd floor. The one above mine, the 4th, was the one he mentioned. Empty. Vacant. And used. The first night felt normal enough. I ordered takeout, set up my mattress on the floor, and let the distant sound of traffic hum through the windows. Sirens wailed somewhere far off, fading into the city's endless rhythm. Around midnight, I turned off the lights and lay staring at the ceiling, tracing faint cracks in the paint with my eyes. That was when I heard it. A soft, deliberate step. Directly above me. I froze, listening. Another step. Then another. Slow. Measured. Like someone pacing. I sat up in bed and stared at the ceiling. Maybe the building was settling. Old pipes expanding. Maybe Mr. Kessler had forgotten to mention a tenant upstairs. The footsteps continued for about 10 minutes before stopping abruptly. No door shutting. No voices. Just silence. I laughed nervously to myself. First night jitters. That was all. The second night, the footsteps came again. This time they started at exactly 2:13 a.m. I know because I had woken up from a dream and checked my phone. 2:13 a.m. The red digital numbers burned into my memory. The pacing was slower this time. Heel. Toe. Heel. Toe. I could almost map the layout of the apartment above me just by following the pattern. From one end of the room to the other. Turn. Back again. After 15 minutes, it stopped directly above my bed. And stayed there. I held my breath. Then, very faintly, I heard something else. Not a footstep. A whisper. It was so quiet I couldn't make out the words, only the tone, low and drawn out, like someone speaking through cupped hands. I didn't sleep much after that. The next morning, I convinced myself I was being dramatic. The city is loud. Buildings creak. People imagine things when they're alone too long. Still, curiosity gnawed at me. I knocked on my neighbor's door across the hall that evening. A middle-aged woman with tight curls and tired eyes answered. She introduced herself as Marisol. "Quick question," I said casually. "Is the apartment upstairs really empty?" Her expression shifted, just slightly. "Why?" "I've been hearing footsteps." Marisol stared at me for a moment too long. Then she forced a laugh. "Old building," she said. "You'll get used to it." She started closing the door. "Wait," I said. "Wasn't there someone living there before?" Her hand paused on the doorframe. "Don't start digging into things," she said quietly. "Just keep your head down." And then she shut the door. That night, the footsteps started earlier. 11:47 p.m. Not pacing this time. Running. Heavy, frantic footsteps that thundered from one side of the apartment to the other. Something slammed into the floor above me hard enough to shake my light fixture. I grabbed my phone and started recording. The sound was clear as day. Thuds. Scraping. A muffled cry. "Hello?" I shouted toward the ceiling. "Are you okay?" The noise stopped instantly. The silence that followed was suffocating. I replayed the recording. Nothing. Just static. My voice echoing in an empty room. No footsteps. No crash. No cry. I felt my stomach drop. The next few days blurred together. The footsteps came every night now, always at different times. Sometimes they were soft and slow. Other times they were panicked and erratic. Once, I heard what sounded like fingernails dragging across the floor. And every time I tried to record it, the audio came back empty. I started sleeping with the lights on. One afternoon, I decided to take the stairs to the 4th floor. The hallway above mine was dimmer, the overhead bulb flickering weakly. The door to the apartment above me stood at the end of the corridor. Apartment 4B. A strip of yellowed police tape still clung to the doorknob, brittle and peeling. My pulse quickened. Vacant. Unused. I stepped closer. The air felt colder here. I reached out and touched the tape. It crumbled under my fingers. The door was slightly ajar. Just a crack. Darkness waited inside. I told myself to leave. To mind my business. Instead, I pushed the door open. The smell hit me first. Not rot. Not exactly. But something stale. Trapped. Like air that hadn't moved in a year. Dust coated the floor. The furniture was gone, leaving faint rectangular shadows where couches and tables had once stood. The apartment looked abandoned. But the floor. The wooden floor directly above where my bed would be downstairs was scratched. Deep, uneven grooves carved into the surface. As if someone had clawed at it. I knelt down, running my fingers over the marks. They weren't random. They formed letters. I leaned closer, heart pounding. Help me. A sudden creak echoed from the far end of the hallway inside the apartment. I spun around. The bedroom door at the end of the unit was slowly swinging open. No wind. No sound. Just the door, inch by inch, revealing darkness beyond. I stood frozen. And then I saw her. Not clearly. Just a shape in the darkness. A pale outline. Long hair hanging forward. Head tilted at an unnatural angle. She was standing in the doorway. Watching me. I couldn't move. Her mouth opened. And from the hallway, not from her lips, but from everywhere at once, I heard a whisper. I see you. I ran. I don't remember making it back to my apartment. I only remember slamming my door shut and locking it, then checking every window, every closet, every corner. I told myself it was stress. Imagination. Sleep deprivation. That night, the footsteps didn't come from above. They came from inside my apartment. Slow. Deliberate. Behind me. I was sitting on the couch when I heard it. Heel. Toe. Right behind where I sat. I turned around slowly. Nothing. The kitchen light flickered. Another step. Closer. I stood up, backing toward the wall. I'm not crazy, I whispered to myself. I'm not crazy. The bathroom door creaked open. And there she was. Standing in the doorway. Standing in the doorway. Clear this time. Her skin was pale gray, stretched too tightly over sharp cheekbones. Her eyes were wide and unblinking, black where white should have been. Her lips were cracked, moving slowly as if forming words that wouldn't come out. Her neck bent sideways at an impossible angle. She took one step forward. Her foot didn't touch the ground. She floated slightly above it. My body finally reacted. I grabbed the nearest thing, a lamp, and threw it. The bulb shattered against the wall. The lights went out. Darkness swallowed the room. I heard breathing. Not mine. Right next to my ear. Cold air brushed my cheek. Stay, a voice whispered. I bolted for the door and ran out into the hallway, barefoot, not caring who saw me. Marisol's door opened a crack. She looked at me, eyes filled with something that wasn't surprise. She's in there, I said, shaking. She's in my apartment. Marisol stepped into the hallway and closed her door behind her. She doesn't leave the building, she said softly. What? She can't. Who is she? Marisol hesitated. Her name was Emily. The name hung in the air. She moved in last year, Marisol continued. Young. Quiet. Kept to herself. Then one night, we heard screaming. Loud, terrified screaming. My chest tightened. The police came. They searched everywhere. But they never found her. Found her? I repeated. What do you mean? They found blood, Marisol said. A lot of it. But no body. I felt the hallway tilt around me. She didn't disappear, Marisol whispered. She stayed. The lights flickered overhead. From inside my apartment, something slammed against the door. Once. Twice. The handle began to shake violently. Marisol grabbed my arm. You shouldn't have gone upstairs, she said. She doesn't like that. The door burst open. The hallway lights exploded in a shower of sparks. Darkness consumed us. And from the blackness, I saw her shape emerge. Emily. Her mouth stretched wider than it should, splitting at the corners. Her eyes locked onto mine. You saw, she rasped. Marisol screamed and stumbled backward. The temperature dropped so fast I could see my breath. Emily floated closer. You saw, she repeated, her voice layering over itself, distorted and broken. I'm sorry, I choked. I didn't mean to. Her head twitched sharply. Behind her, the walls began to darken, black stains spreading like ink. You're still here, she whispered. And then she lunged. I felt her hands wrap around my throat, ice cold and impossibly strong. My vision blurred. I clawed at empty air as she lifted me off the ground. You can't leave, she hissed. None of you leave. Suddenly, a deafening crash echoed from upstairs. Emily's head snapped upward. For the first time, fear flickered across her face. A deep, guttural growl vibrated through the building. It didn't come from her. It came from above. From somewhere higher than the 4th floor. The ceiling cracked. Plaster rained down. Emily's grip loosened. She turned slowly toward the stairwell. No, she whispered. The growl came again, louder, closer. A massive shadow stretched across the hallway ceiling. Something was descending. Something darker than the darkness around us. Emily released me completely and began backing away. It found me, she breathed. The shadow reached the 4th floor landing. I couldn't see its shape clearly, only shifting limbs, elongated and wrong. Emily screamed. Not angry. Terrified. It won't let me go, she cried. The shadow lunged. The hallway filled with a sound I will never forget, a mixture of tearing fabric, splintering bone, and a scream that went on too long to belong to a human throat. The shadow dragged her upward, her fingers scraping against the floor, leaving deep gouges in the wood. And then they were gone. Silence. The lights flickered back on. The hallway looked normal. No cracks. No stains. No scratches. Marisol lay unconscious near her door. My apartment door stood open, calm and empty. As if nothing had happened. I moved out the next morning. I didn't pack carefully. I just shoved everything into boxes and left. Mr. Kessler didn't argue when I handed him the keys. He only looked at me for a long moment and said, You saw her, didn't you? I didn't answer. As I walked away from the building, I felt something pull at the back of my mind. A faint whisper. I turned. For a split second, I saw a silhouette in the 4th floor window. Not Emily. Something taller. Watching. Waiting. And I realized something that made my blood run cold. Emily wasn't haunting the building. She was hiding in it. From something far worse. And now that it had found her, it might be looking for someone new.